highlighted our publication work. First, I would like show you a frame where our NFI project, that is the forest monitoring and observation system, to institute responsible for this task to undertake. The task climate monitoring and forest damage registration system in the middle. It's a cooperative work, and the right side you can see our individual work, and the last one is the NFI. As I showed in the previous picture, there are a lot of monitoring. You can see the grid of the different monitoring and somehow how the history of our NFI. The yellow show you the first monitoring, the forest health monitoring system, and then we started the forest growth monitoring. It's a more dense grid. The 2.8 by 2.8 kilometer was the basic grid, and finally, thanks to our reorganization, the institute was reorganized, and formally was involved this work about 100 taxator, and actually only 5 group responsible for the NFI. Therefore, we have to decide and optimize our work. One side, we investigated the reliability of the different grids, which is the most effective. On the other side, we have to take into consideration the resources available. The results was we stepped back to the first grid, the yellow one, 4 by 4 kilometer. On this grid point, we established the tract, 200 by 200 square, and the corner are the possible sampling areas. We work with the permanent radius, as you see, and with the segments. The segments applied because they increase the effectiveness as well, and you can see the radius of different segments. In the smallest, we assess the youngest tree and the small tree, and the next one is the different dBH limit. Our classification based on satellite images. That's the first step of our work, in the office work, and we classify the potential plots, field plots or not field plots. We try to increase the reliability as much as possible, and if there is a slight debate there, it would be a forested area. We always visit it in the field. Some general information. One cycle includes 5 years sampling. I mentioned as a representative sampling. That means that every individual yearly sampling covers the full area of the country. There is some extra benefit working with this method. As I mentioned, actually we work with 5 field groups, 2 experts, 5 groups. We use the COST E43 definitions, our work. First cycle is finished, and we more than 5,000 sampling plots visited and assessed, and enormous sampling trees was assessed as well. I don't want to give more detailed data because less of time, and because I want to highlight our publication work, and if you have sometimes later hopefully you can find additional informations, our methodology, etc. So first cycle was finished and undertaken this time, and after the field work, in the beginning of 2015, we did our evaluation and preprocessing and tried to prepare our data to the publication, for the publication. It was a really short time, not only because it was the first time and we have to decide a lot of interesting questions, how and what way have to be chosen. But the staff working on this work started their field work in the springtime, so it was limited for us. Additionally, we chose such a way for the publication which took for our staff extra burden. All of output was done by us, and it was a lot of tables, text, graphs, and etc., and some factoring of English part of our publication. So not so easy period was our life. I would like show some part of this. Okay. So we prepared the Hungarian version and the English version as well. You can switch surfing in this area in this way, of course. The infrastructure, menu system, and a lot of other informatics questions was already decided when we started our work, so it was somehow comfortable thing, but some problem as well during the development period. So a short information about the main menu points. There is a general information. At the beginning, of course, there is a welcoming text, but what I would like to highlight, and maybe not only hidden, there is a general information how to use the main part of this site. I think it's clear for everybody. It's a main usage, the information, that data usage, and that's the most important when we publicate our data. So there is the information and how to try this and how to start this work. And it shows you a general picture about our thinking and our structure, how it was established and constructed this site, web page. The high level was the language, and then they decided that beside the national level, we involve some other regional level. Of course, there is a limit, the confidence interval and reliability. Some cases is maybe over the critical border burden, but we choose them this way because I think it's information, and we draw attention for this problem. Next, we established different themes. Maybe you can read it. It's the general basic parameters, mainly the forest area, growing stocks, and some other parameters. It was a big question. Of course, we try to investigate already existing web pages, starting with USA and Switzerland and others. And the best way would have been to establish a real query system. There is a database, you should establish a user interface, a really good engine for querying and publishing the results. It's quite simplified, but not so simplified. That's kind of stuff, and that's kind of time limit. So we decided to establish a so-called virtual query. So all of potential output was decided will be published or not. So rather we would call it not a query, rather a selection of the existing table. But because there are a lot of tables, a lot of graphs, we established such kind of query selection system, which is similar to general query you can see later. And the last one, of course, the row column, it's the same one. These are classifiers. So always important how to use data. What is this framework, system, and institute? It's not so important for us. What is the purpose of NFI and history? And it's more important in Hungary because there is a standardized inventory parallel working in our country, and it questionable many times what is the sense to work parallel to system, to inventory system. So we try to explain and some international outlook and legislatory background. Methodology, as I mentioned, there is quite a wide information, hopefully enough. We try to structurize our information into one pages, not an enormous text. Sometimes it was impossible, but we try to keep on this idea. So what is important? I don't think. So I don't want to waste your time, but later I can give you detailed information. If it's not enough, our fieldwork or processing methodology. What is interesting, we give a picture of the future, and interesting maybe for as well that as a result of other project, one of other project, it was a HC, it's a MFIN project, GRC, the cooperation. There was a biomass calculation, and we could establish additional function, and the results was involved. And as it is interesting because when I show you the different thematics, there is one cases, for example, biomass is only one table available, and other cases, for example, growing Stachylocofa. So it's unbalanced, and you will find different answer for your question. So what's most important, the data. The structure of this site is general data, the compiled data, what I mentioned, this selection. We take a differentiated table and the maps and the other data. The general data was chosen because I hope, or I think that not all of users will be able or interesting to establish a professional question. So it's rather collected some important general information, and you can find them this way. And later we realized that some tables and outputs does not fit the already established logic, and we group them here as well. For example, so that's the general answer and picture of your answer. On the the name of the table, if available, of course, and the output forms, if available, of course. The table graphs, and we decided that this so-called aggregated data, it's free of charge. Everybody can use it and download Excel format. I can show you some extra slides. So it's internet, not so. So that's the really query or selection part of our system. As I mentioned, the different part of the how to establish or compile your question. The first is the language. What is important for you? Because of the lack of resources, we translated only the national level tables and graphs. So if somebody interested in the regional level, that is not as frequent, but possible, first have to change the language from Hungarian, or have to change the whole language on the flag, and in that case can reach this part of the, for example, regional information, and somehow support these difficulties. We established the dictionary. You can find under the appendix English-Hungarian dictionary. Sometimes you will quite familiar with the Hungarian language, but not so easy. So in that case, national one is available, and choose, for example, forest area. It is not obligatory to fill up all of field. If you think this is enough for you, the search is starting, and if there is an answer, will appear. For example, the graph, you can see a picture, selected or classified or climate categories, the forested area. Of course, it can be seen as a usual. We use the inventory analyst support, and sometimes we try to explain the not evident things. For example, undefined value in our table. What caused such kind of situation? Two main cases. One, when you try to assess the area, but accessible, but the assessment is impossible. For example, military area. Before the fences, and there is no permission. I know that is the forested area, but I don't collect other exact information. So we record it as a forested area, but there is no other information. For example, there is no climate and so on. It's undefined. And the second problem should be, sometimes we use other databases, mainly the previous mentioned standardized inventory based forest national database, and because the definition different, the definition that use this standardized inventory, we use the cost definition, and our national definition mostly. Sometimes there is no matches. In that case, you can find undefined information as well. So you can choose and try it. The maps is separated, but works in the same logic. So two types of maps was generated. One of the so-called rasters, we try to try to show how the representative area of one plot, and that was showed as a raster. Yeah, it's implemented again. Sorry.
No, internet.
Internet now doesn't work. Okay, and at least I finish my last main point. So finishing the map information, the one is the raster, and second one maybe you can find when you see the regional information, the region border, and some graphs. Finally,
Internet is back.
it's okay. And finally, there is appendix, as I mentioned. There is some information our projects which cooperate with authorized. There is a glossary, glossary, maybe helps to define some area in our NFI. There is a dictionary, what I mentioned, bibliography and code listing, and how our territorial division appears, as you can see on the map as well. And maybe this is what I forget it. There is some additional benefit out from our data. This is not really benefit, is a comparison, but I mentioned we have a parallel data based on the National Forest Database. We try to compare some parallel data, and during our field work we collect cores, boring trees and cores, and these trees are calibrated not only dBH level but the cutting level as well, and we establish the function. And for example, the illegal cutting, we can calculate, we can have these functions, what would be the dBH, because as many, our volume function is based on the dBH, not this area. But there is an extra benefit, which was a new one. As I mentioned, calculating biomass above ground level. We have to calculate as well the leaving tree, the cutting level diameter, and we can calculate the stump volume, for example. And to support the work, what I mentioned for the illegal usage, we show and publish some height curves as well. Seems to be okay. Yeah. So it's well known for all of you. So that's, and last, as I mentioned, we use the inventory analyst. Almost all of tables were generated, and it was a really good support for us, and benefit, quick and simplified. But there is some requirement towards the markings. But as we see yesterday presentation, some of already solved. So generating graphs and flexible format size output tables, as we see, we will check if the XLS maybe is better one. And the user manual seems to be, for example, the scripting is quite detailed, but we find it should be a little bit sophisticated. So that's all. Thank you for your attention.